Hey everyone, Percy here. Today on the podcast, I want to talk to you about the topic of daylight savings time in real life. This is something that you need to know, especially if you're going to visit the United States or Canada, because it will surprise you if you don't know about this cultural thing. Well, that's what we're talking about today on the Social English Podcast.
今日のエピソードでは英語圏である西欧諸国における特定の社会的状況についての重要なソーシャルイングリッシュのヒントをお教えします。アメリカ、カナダ、イギリス、その他の英語圏の国で実際に使えるように英会話のスキルアップに焦点を当てた社会的状況に関する大事なヒントを聞きながら学んでいきます。
So, if you are new to the Social English Podcast, I'd like to welcome you to the podcast. If you are returning, thanks for showing up. Good to see you here and have you listening. I have a question for you. Have you heard of daylight savings time in America? Daylight savings time. It is a practice of moving time. So changing time forward or backward to adjust for the amount of daylight hours available during the day. What I mean is the time will suddenly change to have more light during the daytime. Now, since this isn't something that is done in Japan, I think it is really important for you, the listener, to understand so you aren't late for important events and appointments as you visit the United States. Many other countries also practice daylight savings time by setting clocks forward or backward, but have a different name. Today, for this reason, I am only going to talk about the American daylight savings time. But in the UK and other countries in Europe, it is called summertime. Here are the countries: UK, Iran, Mexico, New Zealand, Australia, and some other countries call this practice summertime. But in America, it's called daylight savings time. Here is what will happen. If you go to any of these countries in the middle of spring, if you go in March, or fall in November. One day, there is one day that the time will jump forward or jump backward 1 hour. Every single business, school, and establishment, including government facilities, are now on the new timeline. For example, you are staying at a hotel in Los Angeles. You go to bed at midnight, 12 a.m., March 14th. When you wake up later and your watch says it's 8:30 a.m., but as you go downstairs to the hotel restaurant, you realize you only have 30 minutes to eat instead of 90 minutes. This is because breakfast ends at 10 a.m. and it's actually not 8:30 but 9:30 a.m. Here is a hint, a pro tip, a trick, or some advice that you can use. If you know the seasons, you can use this little trick. Okay? So please listen. The hint is time will move back 1 hour in spring and 1 hour forward in fall. So it would move up in fall and down or back in spring. So in America, we say spring forward and fall back. Once again, that's spring forward and fall back. As a phrase to help us remember that in the spring forward, the time will move 1 hour forward or 1 hour up, and fall back to remind us that in the fall, time will move 1 hour backwards or 1 hour down. Okay, but backwards is better. Okay, that is the phrase. Spring forward and fall back. So, please remember that and plan your travel accordingly. Please use that tip and that information so you have a easy, pleasant trip when you are going and traveling abroad.
このショーを気に入っていただけたら5つ星のレビューをぜひお願いします。コメントは英語か日本語でお書きいただければ喜んで読ませていただきます。リアルソーシャルイングリッシュ .com にアクセスしてぜひ無料でダウンロードしてください。ほとんどの日本人の英語を勉強している人がやってしまいがちな7つの間違いとその正しい言い方。また、毎日英語を上達させるのに役立つ資料もたくさんあります。Apple Podcast、Google Podcast、Stitcher、そして今はパンドラでもポッドキャストを購読いただけます。支援者になっていただけませんか？私たちがこのショーを作るための支援として5ドルの寄付をお願いできませんか？今後のエピソードで感謝の気持ちをお伝えします。また、そこでしか利用できない新しいコンテンツも入手できます。patreon.com/socialenglish からご参加ください。 ソーシャルメディアで私たちのポッドキャストを友達にシェアしたり、Twitter、Facebook、Instagram のフォローをお願いします。
Okay, everyone, that is going to do it for today's episode of the Social English Podcast. And we focused on what is called daylight savings time in America or summertime in other countries, like the countries in Europe. But remember the phrase, spring forward and fall back. So you won't have any problems when you are traveling abroad in the fall or spring seasons. Okay? I want to thank you once again personally for listening to this podcast. Please share it with 5 of your friends and leave a review. Please leave a review, a 5-star review. Please leave a 5-star review to help us improve our podcast and make it better and more available for people to hear. I really want to help everyone learn social English and help fill in these spaces and these gaps in your English to help you become a better English speaker and a better conversational English speaker, and give you that confidence so you have no problems speaking with other English speakers. Okay? All right. Well, that's it. See you in the next episode. Peace and love.
今日は楽しい時間をありがとうございました。ぜひ私たちのウェブサイト realsocialenglish.com を訪問して日本語訳と役立つ情報を手に入れてください。また次回お会いしましょう。バイバイ。See you next time. Bye bye.